engineer, Don Goriello, please.
Good evening, Mayor. A couple of things. The county is supposed to be inspecting the Center Street project to sign off on that within the next day or so. At the last meeting, we talked about having a new stripe put down in the center.
That's correct.
I did get a quote for the portion of the road that we paved would be $750. If you want to do the rest of the street, that would be all the way up from Hickory up to Center Street. The additional on top of that $750 would be $5,100. That would be a double yellow and a blue.
It went from 700 to 5,100?
No, but 750. We did about 600 feet of road already, and the yellow stripe is already down. The blue stripe was another $750, but to do the rest of the street with a double yellow and a blue would be $5,100. Same price. Per square foot, it's the same price. Just that there's a lot more work done.
Can I have a follow-up question? That's
Yes,
okay?
and I have a follow-up here.
All right, great. Don, thanks for looking into that. What's the plan for this block right out front of Borough Hall for paving eventually?
Well, we were holding up to wait till the county finishes their project, so
Okay.
if you know, that would go into the next project assuming we do the next
Mhm.
project.
I just bring this up, throwing ideas out there for us with price in mind and things. Councilwoman Kukrow and I went to a training out in Hillsborough on Saturday, and in front of their town hall. So it was in between the town hall and their big parking lot. There was like a little street, and that's where they had a yellow line, and so in between they placed the blue line. So I was just thinking, you know, would it make sense to have it even just for this one block in front of Borough Hall, since this is where our police department is? It's an idea, we could maybe even just have the DPW do it. I know that it doesn't come out as well as we discussed at the last meeting, it's just an idea. Or it's the idea of maybe just having that company do that one block, probably cheaper than the $750. I'm open either way, I just think
Well, I
doing the
assume
blue line's a
you're-
good idea.
Are you interested in the 750, doing the section we've done already, or no? I thought that was what you were interested in.
We were,
Okay.
but I was just thinking about this one block since it is at the police station and Borough Hall entrance.
It's $1.25 a running foot, so you get 3 strips, so it's 200-foot block at 600 foot, it's gonna be about the same $750.
Okay. By that company.
Right?
I'm just throwing an idea out there.
If I may add something to that conversation. Today I received an email from Kathleen Cat Patterson. She apologizes for not being at the meeting tonight. I'll just read a small section of the email. To further the startup of Gorwitz Police Appreciation Week, as in the past August, that was phenomenally well and lasted through the whole month, I'd like to suggest that the Garwood DPW, in conjunction with the mayor and council's permission, to paint blue lines down on major streets, center, south, and north, to show respect to the Garwood finest. So, that's what the request is. Okay, and of course, she thanks us for the attention that we might give this project, so.
Okay, and I know that I'm the one who started this, to ask you about getting a price for this, but, I mean, just hearing the number, I mean, other towns have done this where they've had their DPW, where they had their own DPW do it. And I think Clark actually used the paint that they used for the handicap spots, so it's blue, but it's not a certain color blue. I would be open to, not just making it strictly for the police, but maybe we could do other colors, maybe, because we do have the 3 sections. Maybe we could do a red, white, and a blue, whereas the red would be for the fire department, the white could be for EMS, and then the blue could be for the police department. Just so it's not just for one, I think that we need to recognize all of them.
I like that. But I mean,
Well, you talk about, instead of having,
The traffic.
yeah, the double yellow is the uniform traffic code. You can't change those colors. They're allowing you to put the blue in, I guess, as a supplement, but you still need the double yellow to meet the traffic code.
Oh, sure. I mean, definitely keep the double yellow, but in between that, I was just
Oh.
making another
the
suggestion.
DPW is never gonna, then you need Picasso to go down the middle of those lines. They would never be able
Well,
to get.
It's not simple.
it looks like Picasso at the ends of the median at the underpass, so that sounds pretty nice. So,
But I like the idea, and I like the idea of the DPW doing it, because, I mean, it seems like an awful lot of money to have an outside vendor come in and do it.
Yes,
So
I
even
would.
if it-
I was curious on the price though, so now we heard it. Thank you.
Well, I think the think the $750 for the strip down the middle would probably go under the grant, because that's within the scope of the project, so you'd really be paying half of that, the county would be paying the other half. But I don't, and I didn't inquire with the county whether or not we could do the other striping as a part of that grant or not, because there is money left over in the amount of money that the county is gonna give us.
All right, so we don't have to match it, so the money's already there?
Well, you have,
We already, all right.
right.
I do want to look at the budget, just make sure, you know, $750 is probably not a problem, but
$5,100 is a lot, that's a
I'm
lot.
not sure you have that much left.
Well,
I'm gonna assume this is a spring project.
No, they're here now.
They're here now, okay.
well,
But you hired them, they're going to.
if we're gonna do the block that the paving contractor just did, at his price, and put it in the contract, I think you wanna do it now, because you wanna close out that project. You know,
Right.
but the rest of it's up to you, whether or not you wanna do any of it, or part of it, or none of it, that doesn't make any difference to me. And that can be done,
You know, this is a very visible decision we're making, although it may seem minor, it's major in the sense of recognition to our police department and possibly even to our fire department and EMS as well. But I'm also concerned, a little bit concerned on the visual side with Center Street. If, like, what will this block in front of Borough Hall look like? Where is the new construction compared to how many blocks left do we have down Center Street? I would really, I hate to suggest the committee look at this, but I really would like to see it sort of mapped out
Laid
nice.
out.
And so it doesn't look like a haphazard decision made by the council in one night just to get it done. So, I'm not much of an artist, but it's one of the concerns I have. So maybe Streets and Roads could talk about it.
Council President, would you take that out?
Yep.
Okay.
You agree?
I
Councilwoman?
totally agree with
Thinking
that,
the
because
same
God
thing?
knows what you would end up with that.
Right.
You know, the visuals, it could be quite frightening, so.
Do we
Yeah.
want to at least do the small section of blue this year with the contract money?
Well, I think that's what we have to be careful of, is how many blocks versus how many
Okay.
blocks left versus this block in front of Borough Hall.
Okay, I will respond to this email. And Council President, if you wouldn't mind, please. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Guerrero?
yes, a couple of other things. The sidewalk program is, I think, just about completed now. We've gone through the final checklist, contractor's been back, and I think done all the things that he has to do. The DOT project, I spoke to the contractor today. He's looking at the best he can do right now is to come in about Thanksgiving, and I'm not so sure we want to start a job on Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving. So it's up to you what you want to do. You've got at least a month's worth of work. We can probably start the work. The problem is, you know, you don't want to be putting down pavement on December the 15th in 30-degree weather, so you probably aren't going to get it paved this year anyway, if we were to start the project at this point.
Well, what is your opinion?
Well, my opinion would be probably to hold it off now. I don't know that we want to start work, you know, on December the 1st. You never know what you're going to get.
I agree with that. I think we should put it off to next spring.
I know the people have been waiting a long time, but,
Let's do it right.
you know, we don't want to,
We'll have to break up in the early months of.
well, you get it started and have 4 months of mud and stuff in the street, you know, through Christmas and New Year's and half the winter, so.
Right, and that would also pose an issue for plowing too, correct, if it was
Yeah.
not finished?
So I guess if that's the case, I'll go with contract.
So we're in agreement, we'll start this
Yes.
springtime?
Yes.
Okay.
with waiting?
Yeah, he doesn't have any problem with that. I mean, and that was my concern, is he's, you know, we got a contract with him. It's awful hard to enforce the contract at this point in time. I mean, you know, we told him he couldn't work, and so.
Right.
Now we
Well, that was my question, is, you know,
He's not asked for any additional money or whatever. There's built into the contract escalation and de-escalation clauses for the asphalt. So price goes up, he's entitled to an adjustment. If it goes down, we're entitled to an adjustment. So that's built into the contract, and most of the other items stay somewhat stable, so.
I have another quick question, I'm sorry. On the consent agenda, you know, it's going to be the approval to pay for all the sidewalks that were done. So I'm assuming somebody went out there and inspected all these sidewalks because there was an awful lot of complaints about them. So
Well-
I'm assuming before we pay, somebody will go out and inspect?
Somebody's inspecting already, yes, correct.
And they gave the 100%, they're good,
Yes.
before we pay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions? I had one, Donald. Donald, you and I talked about Myrtle Avenue. You were gonna talk to the contractor about the repaving process?
Yes. The 500 block is gonna be done, pretty much as he's done, we'll try to remember, Willow Avenue
Right.
and whatever. And the 600 block is almost all gonna get paved, but we, you know, wherever they've disturbed the pavement and we have a problem with the pavement, they're gonna replace that.
Okay.
So, just about gonna be replaced, with the exception of maybe the last 50 or 100 feet, but they're gonna take care of all that.
Thank you.
I believe it's been painted out, what they're going to do.
All right, maybe I'll go take a visit.
I do have just one more question. Don,
Okay.
I know, just before you mentioned how the county's gonna come out and they're actually gonna take a look over here.
Yes.
Is this for the intersection here on South and
No,
Center?
no.
Okay,
So this is that $665,000 grant we got.
Okay.
For the 2 blocks of Center Street.
is there any time frame when they're gonna put the sidewalks back over here on South and Center?
No one's talked to me about the project at all,
I
so,
spoke to the county assistant engineer, if that's what he's called. He said if the weather continues to be positive, by the end of the year it should be done.
End of the year?
Yes. He really said next year. Yes. Yeah, I talked to him the other day about it.
But I don't think we want to get into the winter months, though, without having the concrete put down.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Don, do you want to follow up with the county, just,
I just think that that's a tough situation.
or while they're in checking out Center Street, you could say, hey, by the way.
Well,
Yeah.
There's 2 different people. You
I
have
was gonna say,
Ray Sullivan's gonna do the
Right.
intersect here, and Paul Lesso will be you can discuss the
I'll
intersect.
talk to Paul Lesso, because
Yeah.
we went, both the chief and I attended the pre-construction meeting, and I think it was in July, and they said it would be 11 to 7 to 13 weeks for the equipment to get, for the delay would be and I think I reported on this too, that the masts and the poles, et cetera, would be take like 13 weeks to manufacture. It's well beyond the 13 weeks now, so I don't know what the delay is now. So I'll
That was
check
a
with Paul.
discussion about 2 weeks ago, so it might have changed.
Okay.
But is that the holdup for not doing the sidewalks though? I mean,
I just heard that tonight, that they're concerned about whether or not they want to put the poles up first to make sure that the power and everything's there. Well, you put conduit in so you can pull wires. If there's a bad wire, you can always pull another wire. I don't know what the delay is.
I just think it's amazing how they decided to do this project at the time they did, a few months back. Now,
Starting a project like that in July shouldn't be a problem.
I think it's
But taking this
delayed.
long.
Yeah, and then
I mean, I
taking
just-
this long.
Right,
I
that
just
is
think
the
it's a
problem.
major inconvenience for
Yeah.
everyone who's
Sure,
over there.
absolutely.
The businesses and everybody else.
Mhm.
I'll call Paul.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Thank
does.
you. Anybody else?
School,
Council?
Um,
Mr. Bernard, please.
I don't think I have anything special to report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Sariemma?
No report there.
Thank you. I have a few things this evening. The fall/winter edition of the Garfield Gazette is in its final review by the editors and is expected to be at the printer by the end of this week or early next week. I thank all the departments that submitted information through the Gazette. I have an update on our newest ribbon cutting events. Experts of Home, 70 North Avenue, November 5th, 12 noon. Active Life Fitness, 94 North Avenue, November 5th at 12:30. South Avenue Arts, 221 South Avenue, November 12th at noon. I would like to personally thank all the organizations and residents that participated in the 26th Annual Clean Communities event this past Saturday. There was approximately 113 participants, which was one of the largest in recent years. I met with Ms. Vicki Drake, Administrator of the Open Space Recreation and Historical Preservation Trust Fund, on behalf of Freeholder B.J. Kowalski, to explain the purpose of what we wanted to accomplish by passing this resolution. Mayor's Saturday will be held this Saturday, as noted before, October 29th at 11 a.m. in Council Chambers. We encourage residents to stop by to ask questions, express concerns, and also to chat with us. Because of Election Day on November 8th, there will be no council meeting on that day. The next Regular scheduled meeting of the mayor and council will be, take place on November 15th. Thank you.
November 15th.
Sorry.
November.
I did say I
I wish it
voted
would
no,
do it.
but I just want to make sure that everyone got this note from freeholders about the freeholders 2016 Senior Focus Initiative.
Yes.
It says on here that I have to, well, you would have to have this grant in by November 1st.
Right. But also, does it basically say we have to have our own facility?
It says that you
Right.
have to have a center that is exclusively or primarily as a senior center, and you can only, you know, make improvements to it or buy certain equipment with it.
That's correct.
But our firehouse meeting room was built with community development money for senior citizen use, so I would classify it as primarily, nobody else needs in there except for the firemen and the fire department. So, I mean, I think it would meet that criteria. It's just I don't know what you would do with the $25,000. Some things you could do is fix the bathrooms, make them more ADA compliant, but I don't think $25,000 would cover that, because we already did the door. I don't really, you can buy equipment, computers, printers, stereos, headphones, PA systems, but I don't know where you would store them.
That's, yeah.
So, I don't know if anybody's read this, and I just didn't want it to slip by you, because I don't see you again till after November 3rd. That's all.
Well, it also says in here a new roof or a repair. I know we didn't do the roof over there when we did the roof on this building, so.
We didn't, but I don't think 25,000 will cover it, so you're gonna have to put the money.
Maybe buildings and grounds can look at that and actually go up and see if there's any issues with the roof or get in contact with
There is
somebody.
issues with the roof, there are some leaks, that roof can use some work.
How many layers are on that roof?
I don't know.
Well, that would be,
It's a-
that's the big cost factor of how many layers are on it. It's not
When,
torn down.
well, if we just do a repair, I'm quite sure $25,000 wouldn't cover a brand new roof, or at least for that
No.
building. But I know when we did here, there were certain sections, I was on the roof with the roofer, certain sections here were 7 layers, certain sections were 4. So,
That's rubberized material?
yes. So
Not
now we have
shingles.
1, but,
I didn't think you were allowed to have that many layers.
it's a flat roof. But I think maybe that's where we could use it.
So then I'll just apply that way, and we'll see what
Okay.
happens.
Okay. You're fine.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue on. Comments and matters for discussion from members of council. Councilwoman Cooper.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a few things, so please bear with me. Going out speaking to a lot of residents, we still have quite a few people that are still looking for bulk. So if there's any way that can get squeezed in somewhere along the line, that would be wonderful, but I told them I would bring it forward, okay? We also received a very nice thank you email from a resident in assisting them in getting their fire hydrant painted. I brought this up at the last meeting. He even sent over the photo of this nice and shiny hydrant. He thought it would have taken forever to have them get out there, but he came home one day and there it was, all spiffed up. I've been riding around town and looking at other hydrants, and there are plenty that are in need of sprucing up. So if anyone has a hydrant outside of their house or on their street, I would suggest calling the water company, since they responded so quickly, and putting in a request. It is amazing how a freshly painted hydrant can make the whole street look better. Also, now for this one, Mayor, I'm hoping I'm not going to get gavelled, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I have it in my hand.
Okay, okay. I have had a lot of people stopping at my house, as well as at least a dozen phone calls concerning people questioning their candidate of choice signs on private property. This happened all of last year when Councilman Sarno and I ran, but we chose to take the high road and ignore it. But this year it has reached epidemic proportions, as well as a lot of theft of national election signs. Some residents have even caught people doing it and following them home to question their trespassing and theft. Since when in Garwood has our freedom of speech by having our candidate of choice signs on our own property been questioned? A few people I have spoken to also felt intimidated enough to remove the sign as to not cause any other problem. This is a travesty. Please, people, have some respect. I would never in my wildest dreams question anyone concerning the signs they choose to display, no matter the party affiliation. Never. We can all have a difference of opinion and agree to disagree in any circumstance. But this is not about going along to get along. We ran a campaign last year about giving a voice back to the people. And I'm very proud to say that I think that we are accomplishing that together. Everyone needs to realize that we're all human beings and as such should be treated with respect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Martin is absent this evening. Councilman Matthew.
Just one thing there, I was looking through the ledger today. We have 2 Middlesex County towns are looking at being forced to do a reassessment. And the big headlines and pull quotes from here, they haven't done them in a quarter century, but we haven't done ours in about a third of a century. So just want to bring that to everyone's attention, that there are more and more towns that are being ordered to reassess. Here they're talking about Woodbridge Township has not had a revaluation since 1986, and that's actually later than the revaluation that we've had. So I just want to let people know it's coming, and I think we need to get ahead of this. That's all from me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Sarno?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to bring up 3 things. One, thank you to all the residents that provided the kind words to me, my family during our difficult time. Very thoughtful, and I'm very appreciative of all of it. The second issue I wanted to talk about is something I brought up probably the last time I was here a month ago, in terms of council chambers. I was bringing up the vote on the possible planning board appointments. I looked at other boroughs, because that's the same type of government, and one that came up to mind was Chatham. Chatham Borough actually votes on the mayor's picks themselves, and I was wondering why that is for the same type of government, and if Mr. Renaud, if you can shed some light on that.
What is it, Chatham Township or Chatham Borough?
Borough.
Chatham Borough. And what do they do?
They actually vote on the mayor's appointments. The council does. I've seen it where the mayor just appoints, like it is here, and I've seen it in other instances where the council will actually vote on what would be his pick. So I just wanted to know the process for that. If you could shed some light as to why that is.
Okay. Do you know if it's an ordinance or not?
That I couldn't find.
Okay. Okay.
And the third thing is just a recommendation. I mean, we received a resolution from one of our neighbors over in Union in regards to the gas tax and opposing it. I would be in favor of putting together a similar resolution here in Garwood because I oppose it. That doesn't mean I speak for everyone up here, but I'll at least throw it out there to see how everyone else feels about it. I think it hurts our middle class here more than it helps, and I would definitely support a resolution as such.
Yeah, I would definitely second that. And it's not something that's levied on the individual. You got to remember, it's also small businesses. I myself drive round trip every day, 86 miles. This is going to hit me right in the pocketbook. But I think we're all going to see it as it goes through the supply chain, because all of the people who transport our goods and show up and give us services are all going to pass that along. So that's going to be a huge tax increase. So yeah, I absolutely would second that.
Do we have consensus? Okay.
Go ahead, Council President.
I'm perfectly fine with sending that because as a business owner myself, you got 3 trucks, 4 trucks, everything's running around, they get 8, maybe 10 miles to the gallon. It's gonna hurt a lot, so I'm perfectly for it.
Well, I guess I'll have a little bit of a different view on this. And I don't know exactly how I would vote, and maybe I would even use the opportunity to abstain, even though I, try not to abstain. I try to take a position one way or the other. But although I'm very in favor of sending resolutions that have a direct impact on Garwood, as we've done, we've sent them to Union County last council meeting, we've sent them to the state at times. I feel a little awkward about this retroactive resolution that doesn't encourage our state legislators to actually vote one way or the other, but we're just saying, hey, what you did, we don't like. Yet we also didn't like that our projects this year from the DOT were stopped, and that our residents, for example, on 3rd Avenue have been waiting years to have their road paved, which it's an absolute nightmare with potholes, and DPW has done a great job filling them with literally over 5 tons of asphalt just on one block. And so it's like, on one hand, absolutely, we want that DOT money, we want to make our roads and infrastructure better for our people. On the other hand, we don't want the 23-cent hike. I'm not saying that I like the 23-cent hike, I don't, but I also don't necessarily feel that I'm in a position to say, well, that deal was completely horrible, or to pass any kind of retroactive resolution that doesn't necessarily mean anything. If it came earlier, I could see myself supporting it, but because it's after, I'm struggling. Also, I know it's a ballot question, which I think is really important. With the public question number 2, about the
The dedicated
Right.
revenue to the actual.
Right, so I learned about that. I did a little research to understand the difference. If our state legislature just passed the 23-cent hike in exchange for funding transportation projects, why do the voters then get a say in this November 8th ballot? Well, I found out it's because that will dedicate the money to go to transportation projects. So I think that's the real question, at least on the ballot for the voters to decide, and I support the voters whichever way they go, of course. But doing retroactive resolutions, I don't know, I feel a little uncomfortable, that's all I'm saying.
There's petitions out there, and this is one way to encourage people to sign, other lawmakers to sign on the petition that would oppose them to go into deeper thought. So while I understand the merits of your argument, that's perfectly fine. I think there are ways to have a message brought across, and maybe for change in the future.
Yeah, and the other thing is, that the thing that bothered me as much, if not more than the tax increase, was they did nothing to address the underlying bloated costs. I think New Jersey pays about 3 times the national average for road work, and we pay twice what New York does. No one considers New York a low-cost state, yet we're paying double what they are. And no one actually looked and addressed and said, okay, you know, a real deal, I think, would have been, you're gonna have a tax increase at X, and we went ahead and lowered costs at Y. And, okay, hey, nobody likes tax increases, but at least you get more bang for your buck. Here, you just went ahead and bumped up the revenue, and the bloated costs will just keep going on. So, yeah, I totally support that. And I think that also addresses your issue. That's what I would love to see, is them go ahead and prospectively, whether or not they repeal the tax or ratify it, find out why does it cost so much to build roads in New Jersey.
I mean, even if they did half I would be okay with, but
A lot of us would be open to any
in
suggestion.
hearing that, like, we actually have a say as to where the money goes, you would think that that's where it should go.
Mm. Well,
Except for the
it's-
general fund, which
it's-
gets
right.
ransacked.
It's sad that you have to put a constitutional amendment in to make sure that the money gets spent where it's supposed to get spent, but, okay. Depending on how it's worded, I'll see how I feel, I guess. But if it does impact it going forward, as Councilman Matthew discussed with a couple items that he brought up, and maybe Councilman Sarno, you can enlighten me about the petition later. I don't want to take any more time on it, but thank you.
I'm totally on board with that as well. Of course, I do understand that the government will tax you here, say they're gonna decrease taxes somewhere else, in which they never get decreased. So I am totally on board with it, because I just know how the government works. And I mean, could somebody like put the heat on, because it's like I'm freezing to death over here. I just figured I'd throw that out there.
My hands are right here.
Aren't you freezing?
John,
Do you want, is he anything else?
Well, it's blowing cool air. Thank you. I just figured I'd throw that in there while I was talking.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that.
Okay, I turned it on.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on
So
then.
wait, just want to make sure now, I'm putting that resolution on the agenda, correct?
That's correct. Councilwoman Tedesco?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Kukrow and I happened to be invited to attend a training this past Saturday that I mentioned before out in Hillsborough on planning and zoning boards held by the New Jersey planning officials. And we took the morning drive out there bright and early at 7:15 to start the workshop. They really started in a way to wake everybody up. They let you know there's going to be a test at the end. So that had a few people in the room panicked, but the teacher and me really wasn't worried. I figured they had probably a pretty good success rate. But anyway, you know, in the end, just for the record, Councilman Kukrow and I aced our test, so no worries there. But in all seriousness though, it was an eye-opening experience because it gave a thorough walkthrough of the different planning and zoning board procedures and the role of the county planning board. There was some talk on redevelopment in general, as that is a major issue across the state. During the end of the presentation, the awards given by the NJPO were mentioned, and I just wanted to share that since Garwood has recently received 2 awards from the NJPO, one for the recreation complex and the other for the Muse complex there. And since we were not required to take the class, as we're not the planning board liaison or planning board members, Councilwoman Kukrow and I did refund the borough for our registration costs. So just throwing that out there. And again, we appreciated that opportunity to learn a little bit more about planning and zoning boards, as they're obviously a key component to our functionality as a borough. The other item I had just to bring up, there has been a lot of talk for years about the issue of reassessment, and since Garwood has gone so long, technically, we wouldn't just need a reassessment, we would need a revaluation. And I fully support bringing in a tax assessor, at least on an annual basis like we have, to hear from her on that. But also, there has been talk, this was the first year, Councilman Matthew brought up possibly setting aside some money in the budget to prepare for a reevaluation down the road. So I think that's something that really has to get discussed one way or the other during budget time, because planning for that now equals raising taxes now. And I think the larger question there is, if so, how much? And I think that's something that any council, probably across the state, would have to really discuss during budget time. And that's all I have on that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I really just have one comment. We talk about this reevaluation, or some people talk about it, and we all know that there's a big cost to that. $150,000, maybe $200,000. How would we pay for that? Would we have to bond? We do have an issue in town that was brought up during budget season. We do need a garbage truck, which I think is a heck of a lot more important than talking about this reevaluation. We're borrowing trucks from other towns. We're fixing trucks that should not be fixed, that should be auctioned off. And I think that if you really want to spend some good money, then you should make the investment in a garbage truck. And one other thing, there's a $5,000 check. I think it's sitting by the attorney right there. The mayor and I went down to the county, and we did receive that $5,000 check, and that's going to go towards tree plantings. And yes, that was a matching grant, but fortunately, the $5,000 we did get already from a tree that was removed at the St. Anne project that former Councilman Bill Neerstead was able to obtain the $5,000 for us from the contractor. So it really didn't cost the borough any money.
Thank you.
Councilman, a quick question. You said you were going to provide invoices, receipts from all the vendors. What exactly is wrong with the truck? I think we spoke about it last council meeting.
Yeah, we
Maybe
still
then-
haven't had that meeting, but Streets and Roads will definitely have that meeting.
That was my next question. Let me know, please. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Pat.
Is
Is this working?
Yes.
That's working. There you go. My name is Pat Fabio, been in Garwood over 80 years. I'm a resident, and I want to ask a couple of questions. I want to thank the mayor and council
Oh,
for
excuse me, Mr. B.
saving us money
Your address?
for 414 M Lockett.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you very much for doing a good job of Garwood with the money that you're trying to save us. I have a couple of questions I want to ask Mr. Mathau. On the brochures that he sent out to us, Mr. Mathau, you have here that you voted no on borrowing $1,600,000 for the athletic field, but you never mentioned how much rent we get from that field. Do you know how much we get from it, Mr. Mathau?
Mayor,
I think it's about here.
Yeah, we'll just let him ask all those questions.
You want to continue on at the end? okay?
Well, anyhow, yeah, I could continue on. And also, on the firing of the DPW, when we're firing Mr. Fred, and that question was brought up, he voted no on that. But I think that was when the state they commanded us to get a DPW supervisor, we had to get him, because due to the state. But we're saving some money now. I understand we're doing pretty good with that. That's part of the savings that you fellows worked on, and I want to thank you for doing that. But the state, when they hired him, and we found, I don't know who found this project about the superintendent in Fanwood, was a good idea, and the state approved of that, so why we made a big deal out of that? I know Fred a long time, the supervisor there, he was a pretty nice guy, but it wasn't our fault that we had to let him go. It was because we saved money. I know I don't have much time, but I'll try to talk fast here. Next question. Mr. Mata, at the point you mentioned the fact that you like Garwood, right? Mr. Mata, I'm talking to you.
Pat, just continue the discussion.
I just,
Yes, I understand.
I can't get the questions, but anyhow, is that one of the questions, all right? Because at the point, he said he likes Garwood, but he never did any volunteering that I know of, you know, so I want to mention that. And what else I have here? And he said you never worked with the other party. If he did work with the Democrats or whatever, because I don't want to put politics in here. But that's a few questions I want to ask him, but I'm getting no answers because I guess I have to talk and then he has to make the decision. He's going to answer these questions later. And I like that what Mr. Jennifer and Mark did, they spoke well, and Mr. Morales, when they said they're going to work together, which I like that. And at the news, the point. You never told the people in town about the Casale building not being sold yet. And I understand it's not sold, and Mr. Russo, that's building this, he owns Petroplastic, is that true? All right, so now if we sell that property to someone, well, we have to make our mind up about if we're gonna let Mr. Russo build it, that building.
Just to clarify, we don't own the property, it's the public.
No.
It's part of the deal.
We don't own it, but I say, if he decides to put something on there, or get something like Acme or big outfit with low roof and all that, we'll have over 1,000 cars coming in and out of that place if it gets busy like ShopRite does, and we don't want that traffic, right? So we have to contend with the traffic, and when I moved to Garwood 80 years ago, we had the trolley cars. I saw the town grow. And I think the traffic problem that we're going to have is not going to be cured by that building one way or another. So that building, I think it'll make the place look good. And Mr. Malthouse said that he would like to see the fact that the building could be smaller. And I'd like to know how small does he like to have it? And
Mr. DeFabio, you're at 4.5 minutes right now.
all right, so I'll cut it short. The traffic is not okay. Right now, one more thing, I want to ask the Westfield leader, last time I spoke here, if he's still here.
He's not here.
Oh, okay. That he didn't put the, last time I spoke, all he put down was a resident spoke, and they never put down what I really discussed, and that sort of made me angry, but I had to bring it out now, I'm sorry. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Okay, Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Yeah, just real quick. I got two questions from there, Mr. DeFabio. Yes, I do know how much rent we get from the athletic field.
How much?
The other thing is how small for the project, I'm not really sure, but smaller than 315 units. So I just wanted to answer those two directly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward? Mr. Patterson? We missed you last time.
I do apologize, I was on.
Thank you.
Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue, Garwood, on vacation in Tennessee. I saw Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, and I went to Nashville. And if everybody envisions Nashville, it's not the same. There's no more yeehaw. Of all the pickup trucks I saw, one was an old pickup truck. So, you know, it's a disappointment.
And your statement?
And my questions and statements. Okay, yeah, just I'll just run it down. The cost for reassessment versus revaluation, I mean, obviously, there's a big cost. I mean, can somebody throw out some numbers, what we may be facing? Because it sounds like we're actually facing the larger of the two. Just as, if somebody just, at the end.
About 200 grand.
Well, you said
And I
200
can-
grand,
I
but reassessment and
I can explain the difference.
reevaluation. I know there's a drive-by, I guess that's reassessment. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I'll talk about it later, Mayor. Well, let Mr. Patterson.
Oh, yeah, okay, let me go on.
Same rules apply, right?
Yeah, the gas tax, yeah, I'm against it also. It's sad about this ballot number 2 question. That sounds like if nobody likes the gas tax and they vote no, it's really still the gas tax, but then the money can be spent elsewhere, So that's a loaded ballot question. But, I don't find problem with the resolution. Councilwoman Tedesco's right. It's kind of like after the cow is out of the barn, but if you do the resolution, which I agree you should, maybe throw in some conditions like what to do, like Councilman Petrocelli said, half the tax. Somebody else said, Councilman Matthews said, address the expenditure. Something like that. If you put that in there, that'd be great. At least it would be some kind of alternatives than just saying no. That senior focus grant, I was at the pre-opening when they did talk about it. It's sad because it sounds like we may not be able to get the money, but I'm just wondering, is that a matching grant?
No.
No? I'm happy. And by the way, next I'll be talking about the matching grant and thanking everybody for what they did on that at the next meeting. The blue lines, I missed last meeting. I guess you guys discussed it. I just want to weigh in calling it ridiculous that you guys are actually looking at something like that. What I would suggest is, whatever that cost is, the celebrations committee has banners that hang out on the Garwood poles. I think it would be money better spent having some kind of banner set up saying, thank you for your safety and security to the Garwood Police and the fire department, et cetera. I think that would be a lot better way to thank you, the safety and security people of the borough. And actually talking about painting lines, long time ago, I guess the early 2000s, I did mention that really if you're going to paint lines, you should also have a color, which you guys were talking about, but a color based on the speed of the street. In other words, 25 or 50 or 40, and have a color that way. And that way when you're driving down the street, instead of looking at these speed limit signs, which are rare, but you actually know what the speed limit is by looking at, say, a red line or a yellow line or a blue line in the center of those double lines. So anyway, that was my suggestion long time.
25.
25.
Unless you're on North or South Avenue.
Yeah, mostly 25. I'm just saying everywhere. Talk to RSIS, did their standards or something like that. So, but that's, I guess that's about it.
Okay.
I'll talk further about the open space resolution that you guys put on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gorio, just a quick question. We keep talking about this painting.
Yes.
Isn't there a different technology of tape? They heat the tape up to the ground?
What we put out there is what they call long lasting. It's different than just DPW paint. But it's not a tape, it's put down and heated.
Well, there is a system that utilizes tape with heat.
Yes,
lines.
there is.
Okay.
Like adhesive of some sort, I guess.
We'll put it to the celebrations committee instead of the blue line. But I did ask about the reassessment versus revaluation.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure. I'll take that, just from my many conversations with the tax assessor about this topic and what she said publicly too. So, as I mentioned earlier, when you go a certain amount of years, and we're certainly past that since it's been a long time, there is no option to just reassess, like a reassessment. The only option to reassess is called a revaluation. That's what costs upwards of $200,000. Basically, as you would do maintenance to it every few years, that would be a reassessment. I don't know the price tag on that. Perhaps it's less because it's more of a catch-up every few years rather than every 25 or 30, whatever that may be. And I'll just state for the record that with Mr. Patterson's commentary on that, if the resolution were to include something like we encourage the state to amend this for to reduce the tax itself, or to investigate other manners to save money on the expenditure side, I would be much more in favor of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any
So.
other resident would like to speak to the microphone?
Jen Blumenstock, 315 Spruce. I have a question for you. I think it might go to Streets and Roads, I would assume. I had a resident who is actually a local business owner as well over on Center Street give me a call to inquire about getting a bench in front of his business, and I think he's asked for it before, but I don't know the exact protocol, so, I didn't exactly know what to tell him with that. Could you advise me?
May I ask, was it a business down the street?
Yes.
Yes, I spoke to that gentleman. I
Okay.
advised him to call Carol Carney with the Chamber of Commerce, and she would try to negotiate a bench for him in front of that building.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else like to step forward? Seeing none, I have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Should we continue, council?
Yes.
Okay. Please rise for a moment of silence and salute to the flag, please.
Allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Out of Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, Union County local source, advertised on January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public in time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Ms. Ariema, roll call.
Mayor Lombardo.
Here?
Councilman Cooper.
Here.
Councilman Martin.
Excused?
Councilman Matthew.
Here.
Councilman Sarno.
Here.
Councilman Disco.
Here.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Here.
Ms. Ariema, the regular minutes, please.
Regular workshop and executive session minutes of the mayor and council held on October 11, 2016.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Communications, Ms. Ariema.
New Jersey State League of Municipalities Mayor's Advisory.
Receive and file.
Township of Noonan Resolution.
Receive and file.
Comcast Renewal Period Franchise Agreement.
Receive and file. Ordinance introduction. Ms. Ariema, please read ordinance 16-17 by title only.
An ordinance fixing the salaries and wages for the Department of Public Works of the Borough of Garwood and the County of Union, State of New Jersey.
Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 16-17?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariema.
Councilman Cooper.
Yes.
Councilman Matthew.
Yes.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
Aye.
Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Thank you. Council standing committee reports and other reports. Police, Councilman Sarno.
Thanks, Mayor. Reconstruction of the intersection at South Avenue and Center Street continues. The preparation work is complete and the county is currently waiting on the new lights, poles, and other infrastructure to arrive. In the meantime, please use caution when traversing the area, and we appreciate the patience. I know that was asked before in terms of the intersection. On October 31st, the Lions Club will again host the annual Halloween Parade. Center Street will be closed from 6 o'clock to about 7:15 p.m. to allow participants to muster near Houghton Plaza at approximately 6:30. Motorists should expect a short delay and use an alternate route traveling through Garwood via Center Street. Chief Underhill would also like to remind all residents that the only thing scarier than Halloween is being arrested for drunk driving. Please remember, driving buzzed is drunk driving. The Garwood Police wish everyone a happy and safe Halloween, and there are many, many people out there, so please use caution when traversing the neighborhood. around Halloween, I can't even say it right. That's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comments on the police report? Hearing none. Public Health, Councilwoman Kukrow.
No report, Mayor. Our next meeting is next month.
Thank you. Streets and Roads Ecology, Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. The Department of Public Works completed their regular reoccurring activities from October 11th to October 25th. In addition, they also performed their miscellaneous activities, and they were performed major pothole repairs at the following locations: the 200 and 300 block of Myrtle, the 400 and 500 block and dead end of Spruce Avenue, 200 block of Locust Ave, and approximately 2 tons of hot mix asphalt were used for these repairs. They also cleaned and prepared the equipment storage garage for the leaf bags, began to clean up the leaf bags, or began to clean the leaves at borough-owned properties, delivered the electronic waste to Westfield Conservation Center for disposal, continued to elevate and prune shade trees throughout the borough, including but not limited to the following areas: Spruce Ave, 300 and 400 block of 2nd Ave, Cedar Street, the 200 block of 3rd Avenue, Oak Street, and the 300 block of Myrtle. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Any comments on the report? Hearing none. Fire, Councilwoman Kukrow.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor.
Okay, Councilman Warren's not here this evening, so we continue on. Garwood Senior Citizen Liaison, Councilman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. At the senior meeting, there was 43 in attendance. The group would like to personally thank you for getting them a new table to replace the broken one. I think I forgot to bring that up at the last meeting.
Okay.
One of the seniors from the group was very excited to have won 4 tickets to the Harry Connick Jr. show, and she passed around the photo that he insisted she have taken with him. She's 93 years old, and he put her right to the front of the line. Blood pressure was taken, and of course mine was through the roof. Paulette, the senior director, announced a few upcoming events. Jim LaCourte, attorney and Union County surrogate, gave a fantastic presentation about everything with estate planning and wills. He stated over and over to make sure you have a current will, as anything too old will not be valid, especially if the executor or administrator cannot be found or are dead. And most important, never write on the document. I never knew this, as it will invalidate it totally. Also, he emphatically stated that the proper storage of the will, and said always use a local bank, as the red tape for big institutional banks is insanely daunting and can be hard for the family members left behind. He answered questions for so long that some members said, let's get on with it, it's cutting into bingo. Someone also asked if there are any plans for repaving on Hickory, so maybe I'll just throw that out there. November 29th, Home for the Holidays at the Stony Hill Inn, $50 for Garwood residents, $55 for out of town. Served family style, includes 2 cocktails, salad, pasta, roast beef, chicken parm, potato, veggie, and dessert. Must leaves fire department at 10 and returns approximately at 4. If anybody is interested, please call Shirley or Jen to reserve your spot. I will be happy to provide their numbers if you need them. Also, we had Italian subs and a cinnamon bun, and I won $5 on the 50-50. Also, assuming this might be for you, Lou, on the library, is this on your report?
Yes.
So then I will leave it out and allow you the pleasure. That's all for my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any comments on the senior report? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Library Mayor's Representative, Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. November is Nutrition Month at the library. On Tuesday, November 1st at 1 p.m., a registered dietitian from Clark ShopRite will discuss healthy eating this holiday season. She will bring great tips on how to reduce the fat and calories in some of your favorite holiday meals. A question and answer session will follow the presentation. On November 9th at 7 p.m., a physical therapist and nutritionist from AmeriCare Physical Therapy in Garwood will discuss a team approach in improving diabetic management and promoting a healthy lifestyle for people with diabetes. On November 3rd, from 4:30 to 6:30, the library, along with Adelante Alliance, will be celebrating the Day of the Dead with crafts, stories, food, and more. Adelante Alliance will also be conducting a Spanish language computer class on November 14th, 15th, and 16th at 6 p.m. The calls will cover computer basics like internet searches and email. The library is also happy to announce that 3 new public computers and 1 new color printer should be up and running by the first week in November. The computers were purchased with funds provided by the Freeholder Grant, and the library will also continue its regular programs, including the knitting club every Monday and Thursday at 10:30 a.m., the bilingual knitting class every Tuesday at 10 a.m., story time every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m., Brixology every Wednesday at 3 p.m. through the 16th, movie time every Friday at 10 a.m., Kids Craft Tuesday, November 15th at 3 p.m., the Lego Club November 17th at 3 p.m., and Adult Craft November 22nd at 6 p.m. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Any comments on the library report? Seeing none, School Board Liaison, Councilman Sarno.
All right, thanks, Mayor. The Board of Education met last week on October 18th, and a presentation was made in regards to last year's park testing. Superintendent Teresa Quigley and Principal Mary Evans went into great detail on how each grade that took the exam performed versus the state versus the country and their averages. For those who do not know, PARC is a computerized test that measures college and career readiness in students in the 3rd through 8th grades. PARC is measured in expectations, which are separated in the following 5 categories: not yet meeting expectations, partially meeting expectations, approaching meeting expectations, and exceeding expectations. Most classes either met or exceeded expectations, with the one exception being 8th grade math, which was described as being an anomaly. I'm not going to go into the detail that went behind that, but let me tell you something.
And what was that word again?
Anomaly.
Thank you.
There you go. But they went to great detail using PowerPoint to describe the whole thing. Really neat. Other notes from the meeting: the annual EFG dinner will be April 27th, 2017. Superintendent Quigley recommended not having a Facebook page for the Board of Ed. She was emphatic about it. The fire and police departments were given recognition for going above and beyond with their involvement with the school and its students. Always great to hear that. The Board of Ed also appointed Skirinichi Hollaback as board attorney at an annual retainer of $8,000. The school board only has 1 candidate running for re-election on the ballot, Sue Grumman. The other post will presumably be filled by write-in ballot, much like last year. Keep that in mind. Lincoln School's production of Dracula will be performed on Thursday and Friday, November 17th and 18th at 7 p.m. And next meeting will be November 15th at 7:30 at Lincoln School. It's actually the same day as our meeting.
It's Into the Woods.
Oh, it's Into the Woods, there's a mistake.
Yeah.
The dates again,
It's the
Councilman?
18th and the 19th.
That's what I have written down.
My mistake.
Okay. Now that we heard the School Board Liaison report, does anybody have any comments? Hearing none, celebrations of public events and holidays liaison, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you to all the residents that put their address in the ring for the Halloween house decorating contest. The judging has been completed and winners will be announced soon. In fact, they will be announced at the pumpkin decorating contest, which I'd like to remind everyone to feel free to participate in. That'll take place on Saturday, October 29th at 5 p.m. next to the PTA-sponsored Trick or Trunk at the Lincoln School and First Aid parking lots. The rain date for that is the same, and same day, same time. That's Saturday, the 29th at 5 p.m. just over at the Recreation Complex. It would get held. Prizes will be given, and I do remember when this was just started 5 years ago, and there were only a handful of participants. Everybody won. But now it's really great to see that the Celebrations Committee didn't just give up on a great idea because it didn't work out that year. There was a bad storm. Instead they kept going, and now more and more people are attending, so that's great. And I hope to see you on the 29th. Oh, one more thing actually, from Celebrations. I just want to remind everyone to keep an eye out for more details on the luminaries. They're looking to sell them this year and bring back that Garwood tradition where we used to have block captains. My grandmother was one on Hickory, and she would make sure that every house on that block had luminaries in front, one way or the other, whether she bought them for the people or not. And so maybe that's something that'll come back. There's actually an article out in the hallway that you could look at that Garwood was highlighted for this. So please keep an eye out on the Garwood Celebrations Facebook page and Borough website for that. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comments on the Celebrations report? Hearing none, Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board of Representatives, Councilman Matthew.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Administrative Review Committee, Councilman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The Administrative Review Committee unanimously recommends that the council adopt Resolution 16-285 on tonight's consent agenda. The committee agreed upon the professional positions for the borough to seek proposals. Most of these positions have been put out for proposals in previous years. However, this will be the first year the borough seeks to retain labor and tax appeal counsel separately. The committee decided that given the fact that these matters are of specific nature, we believe that the cost can be controlled better when handled by individual firms. So important to note, the borough would not award a monetary amount for labor and tax appeal counsel for the entire year, but rather pay an hourly wage as needed, as the workload in these areas really does fluctuate year to year. And we're also recommending that the submissions for certain positions be interviewed by the entire council in executive session to be held at one of our December council meetings. This executive session should include any newly elected officials, as has been past practice, especially considering that the award for these positions takes place at the reorganization meeting held in January. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman, any comments on the Administrative Review Committee report? Hearing none. Historical Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. See where I put that paper? There we go. Okay. I attended last night's meeting of the Historical Committee. In addition to discussing fundraising opportunities and planning interviews with longtime Garwoodians to chronicle our borough's history, we are busy planning the Purple Heart Memorial event, which I announced at our last council meeting. So that event will take place on Saturday, November 12th at 11 a.m. Originally, we thought 12 noon, but it's been officially changed to 11 a.m. at the Georgina Guerreri Memorial Park at the corner of 4th and Walnut Streets. This event will be rain or shine. The Garwood Historical Committee seeks to honor those servicemen and women who received the Purple Heart. At the gazebo, there stands a pink memorial stone commemorating those who are Purple Heart recipients, which was installed 5 years ago after Cranford resident Anthony LaFerrara approached the council on behalf of his organization to offer the donation of this memorial, valued at almost $10,000. His son, Sal LaFerrara, lives in Garwood, and he even stopped by our meeting last night. And so we are very thankful for the efforts of Sal and Anthony to help us bring this memorial event to fruition. The Historical Committee would like to extend our invitation to all veterans in the community, especially those who are Purple Heart recipients, to attend, and of course the rest of the community is encouraged to attend. Refreshments will be served after the ceremony. If you or someone you know who is or was a resident of Garwood and received this medal, please contact us at garwoodhistory@garwood.org so that they may be formally recognized. And I hope to see everyone on November 12th to recognize the service and sacrifice of our veterans. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any comments on the Historical Committee report? Hearing none. The Parking Committee, Councilman Sarno.
Thanks, Mayor. The Parking Committee met September 29th and discussed the current parking situation in the borough and how and if we should proceed with the expansion of the streets that have permanent parking. We discussed the cost of permanent parking expansion and are currently in a fact-finding stage. We as a committee determined that we would like to see an estimate that includes material, man-hours, etc. And for the following three, I would call them phases, or three options. The cost to do the rest of the north side, which would include 4th and 5th Avenue. The cost to do the south side going to Pine, and the cost of the entire town. We get a cost estimate for each one of those options. We're also looking to obtain figures from NJ Transit, which Kathy just showed me earlier, which will show us daily ridership on our buses and trains and how we will prepare for the departure of Burger King in the applicable spaces we lease from them. We will be meeting in early November to discuss the findings, and we'll make a recommendation to how the borough should proceed in handling the current parking situation. That's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comments?
I do have just a quick question or two.
Yes.
One, would Liberty and Union be included on the north side too? I know they're small and tucked away, but just a thought. You could bring it back to the committee.
No, I thought we would do the rest of the north side, and that would include looking into them.
Okay.
And we can even like subtract them, as such, if need be.
Right.
Since they are a bit of an anomaly, right, to the rest of
Right,
the
they are.
situation of the town.
Right. that's why I bring it up, just because, you know, on one hand, they seem like an outlier that maybe wouldn't need it, but then at the other hand, there's always that battle with the fact that commuters will walk up to a mile,
I'll do it.
which is all
I
of
do.
Garwood, of course.
Mhm.
Right,
Yep.
so, to get to
No matter
work
what,
when they're
we'll
in the
look
city.
into it. I'll be
So,
glad to
all right,
sure.
thanks,
Yep.
appreciate that.
No
And,
problem.
the other one is, and I don't know if we can really talk about it now, but I'm curious as to how many spots, if any, are leased at Burger King right now?
Oh, you know,
They are,
I can't say how many, but there's quite a few.
quite a few, because I was just wondering, or just throwing this on the radar, in terms of notifying those that have already leased those spots from us.
That will be discussed,
Okay.
since we just got the letter officially.
Right.
Within the last
Sure.
week or so. That will be
Okay.
discussed, and we were discussing it a month ago, so.
All right.
We're all-
May, you know,
What's that?
cancel May of next year, right?
Yes.
Yep,
Mhm.
right,
On
well,
top of it, you know?
yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, just wanted to throw those things on the radar. I commend the committee, I know it's a major issue, and it's a very complex one, tough one to tackle, so thank you.
Is that all? I just have one comment. I mentioned at the last meeting, I have 3 older emails pertaining to parking that I'd like to forward to you in the committee.
Please.
In the future.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And just real quickly, you project that you'll have a synopsis done by November, the end of November?
I didn't have a target date. I want to see how the meeting goes in early November, so I'll tell you what, how about I give an answer to you next council meeting, on the 15th, and we can make a determination.
Okay, that'll be good, because I know it took like years last time when they were doing the whole parking thing, so I just
Well,
wanted
we
to.
got, now I have the, line in place, so we can take them there. The timeline is in place, at least we know we can take them there.
Yep.
Okay.
No problem.
Officers' reports?
Chief of Police Bruce Underhill monthly report for September 2016, Municipal Court Administrator LaShawn Durant monthly report for September 2016.
Do I have a motion to accept the officers' reports?
So move, Mayor?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone. Please state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to about 3 minutes. Mr. Patterson?
I warned you guys. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. I did say I was going to thank you for the resolution from the last meeting, and I apologize for missing it. It's number 16-279. It's regarding the Open Space Trust Fund that's on the ballot from the county. And I guess I'll just read some parts of it. And I'm very happy that you actually are doing some kind of opposition resolution towards it. It's an untimely thing right now. And of course, the matching grants, matching grant money, which I've been complaining about to them and to you guys, over the past many years. But just some of these paragraphs I just want to read just so everybody understands. Whereas the county has not put forth any information to the governing body on why it is putting this question on the ballot in 2016, nor have they provided information to the public on the tax levy, which I agree with. The sunset provision is, I think, 2019, and they're expediting it. I actually do have an idea why they're doing it. They were handling the bonding debt illegally, but that's only conjecture at this point. I haven't seen anything from the state, but the state may have sent them letters about it. Also, whereas the condition of every grant application process is that the municipality, when applying for funding, must match the grant amount, and that is most grievous, that we have to match monies. And yes, we gave up, I think, 3 grants because of that. One of them was at the meeting of freeholder meeting. We only received 1 check where we could have received 2 because the Children's Trust Fund, we had to match and we don't have the money. And I spoke on that back when it first came up, and it's very sad. And I just want to point out, I mean, you guys are financially competent, okay? Come budget time, I may yell at you at taxes, but I mean, yes, you do. You do your due diligence. I mean, this year, you were able, the initial tax about 185, you got it actually cut in half, and every dollar counted, where you guys even gave up your stipends for the taxpayers, which I thank you for. You gave up your stipends to show the pain is being spread around, and I appreciate that. And yet, down at the county, I was attending their budget meetings, and their budget is about $500 billion with a B, billion. And from last year, their surplus they ended with was approximately $50 million. $50 million, that's 10% of their budget they came out with. Well, after the budget cycle was done, they still raised taxes after having 10% surplus left over, $50 million, and they still taxed everybody. So, I mean, talk about financially inept, that's them down there. I tell them every budget cycle. The problem, and I think Eileen hit it on the head one time, she goes, how come no Republicans are on there to keep an eye on each other?
Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
We do know the answer. I mean,
Yes,
this is,
we all know the
this
answer.
is, this is election season, so. But,
You're over about 3.5 minutes now, sir?
oh, well, okay, I won't read the last paragraph, but I do thank you. Just one last question. You did ask the public to send questions on the salary development, and I sent in a letter asking 16 questions. I'm just wondering what the status is on that.
I personally have not completed them. Does any of the council members take a look at it in detail?
I've looked at it, but I thought
Looked at
you were
it,
in
but-
charge of.
yeah. I thought
you were in charge of it, Matt.
No, the mayor's not in charge. I answered at least 4 already.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be split up? I
No,
wasn't.
I'm
aware
just
of that.
asking if anybody looked at it and will respond, that's all.
Okay. You probably know the answers better than anybody, Bruce.
You never ask a question without knowing the answer. That's
But
what
that answers the question.
But anyway, with our 16 questions, you answered Tina Simmons's.
And also, I answered the 6 questions that were given at that meeting of September 13th. You had a question, and I sent you a copy of all the answers.
But not mine.
No, I can't. No, I did not use your...
You cordially invited the public, and you said you would respond to them, so I sent mine in. To my personal belief, I think they're important. Hopefully I'll see some kind of...
I'll give you the satisfaction, I will review them again.
Okay, and is there a possibility I'll see something in writing? A possibility?
We can talk about that.
Off the record, or?
No, I'm right here, right in front of everybody, I have no problems.
Okay, well, I mean, you can...
They're gonna get an answer, right?
Mayor, I'm just a little disappointed because I asked specifically who was gonna be in charge of answering the question.
That's correct.
I'm not done making my statement.
Yeah, okay.
And you said specifically that you were gonna do it, and Mr. Patterson's very reasonably asking when he can expect answers to his questions, and it seems to me you're not giving him a direct answer.
I responded to you that night, Mr. Councilman, that I responded to the questions of that evening, not a document that came in later. I'm not trying to pick nickels with you, I said I would look it over one more time.
What's the difference between his document and the questions we received that evening?
I will look it over.
I think Bruce's questions came in before the meeting. Did your questions, did you go?
No, subsequent to the
I
mayor saying...
don't want to start
email me.
picking nickels with Mr. Patterson, I will review it again and...
Okay, I mean, there may be some hard questions, I mean...
Maybe some of the questions used for planning board.
That is true.
Thank you.
Then you can let him know that. He's a
I
citizen.
just completed the
Yeah.
questions of September 13th and Tina Simmons' email. Now I'm going to look forward at this one.
Okay, I just want to say on the record, that Mr. Patterson's a citizen like everybody else, and if you haven't, I'm not done speaking.
Yeah, but-
I'm not done saying, I have a statement to say, and then
Okay.
you can respond, okay? If you were having problems answering the questions, you didn't want to answer them, you needed more time, those are all acceptable responses. But what I'm hearing now is that you don't want to, or you're waffling on answering.
I
questions.
never said I didn't want to, Councilman. And to be honest with you, you're also a member of the planning board, you probably could answer the question just as well as I could.
Then you could ask me to do it, but that's not what you said, Mayor.
Okay.
There were other questions prior to that, and Bill Deerstead actually answered it in the newspaper, so...
That's correct.
I appreciate Bill had left, but I mean, I
Okay.
do appreciate it. I would like answers.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Step forward, please. Okay, seeing none, we'll continue on. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda, Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Matthew.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Sedisco.
Aye.
Council President Petroselli.
Aye.
Do we have any resolutions that are not?
I do have one.
Thank you.
Resolution 16-291, be resolved, the council of the Borough of Garwood is directing the borough administrator clerk to pursue proposals in accordance with law for financial advisory services for redevelopment of South Avenue of Borough of Garwood.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call?
Yes.
Roll call.
Mrs. Mariano?
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Matthew.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Sedisco.
Aye.
Council President Petroselli.
Aye.
Thank you. Any new business for the council? I have one thing. I have receipt of a letter from the police chief, Bruce Underhill, stating his intent to retire in the second quarter of 2017. As the mayor, I am appointing a committee to begin a search to fill the position of police chief. The committee consists of Police Commissioner Joseph Sarno, Council President Lou Petroselli, and Councilwoman Sarah Tedesco. Ms. Ariano, payment of claims.
Be it resolved, the following claims as approved be and the same are hereby ordered paid and properly signed and verified, and the payment of payroll assets is hereby confirmed and ratified.
Do I have a motion to adopt payment of claims?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Matthew.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco.
Aye.
And Council President Petroselli.
Aye.
Move on to adjourn. The regular meeting of the mayor and council will be held on Tuesday, November 15, 2016, in council chambers at 7:15 p.m. Workshop to start at 7 p.m. There will be a public hearing in council chambers on the Union County Development Block Grant Year 43 proposal on Tuesday, November 15, 2016, at 7:15 p.m. or soon thereafter. There will be a public hearing in council chambers on ordinance 16-17 on Tuesday, November 15, 2016, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter. Do I have a motion?
Just want to remind the public that we're off schedule next month because of the election, so our council meetings are the 3rd and 5th Tuesday of November, not the 2nd.
That's correct. Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.